This exercise, I'm going to create this little top secret graphic that you see up here, and basically the use for this is on a confidential document. I could type the words confidential, by the way, but this looks a little bit more graphic-y, designy, and after all, I am a graphic designer, so, when you do these things, you want to have a look which is as graphic design as possible. So there's my top secret, and to do this, I'm going to use two elements, basically. I'm going to use this shape here, which is a basic shape, which I just created up here. Really simple. You just drag yourself, hold the shift key, drag yourself out a circle, something similar like that. You're going to give it a stroke instead of a fill, and there it is. Same thing as the other one. Okay? Real simple. The other element, of course, is text. And the text that I'm using here is Myriad Pro Bold 72 point, and it's all caps. I just happened on that size. It could be bigger, it could be smaller, but again, I'm looking at the proportion of the circle to the text, and I'm looking at my graphic, and you can see that it worked out okay this way. So that's what I'm going to go with. The other thing I want to mention is that right now this text is center aligned. If you know anything about this text, you can see that there's a line that runs off the bottom of the text. Right now there's a little anchor point, and that anchor point's sitting right in the middle. The reason that is because it's center aligned, and the anchor point for this sits in the middle on center aligned text. If I open up the paragraph panel, you'll see right there, center aligned. If I come over here and click on this one, it'll become left aligned. Left aligned, it'll look like this, where you have your little anchor point over here and the text runs off in that direction. Bring it back and make it center aligned, because that's how I started it. So now I got my elements, and these are the only two elements I really need. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the text and I'm going to make it graphic shapes. Right now it's live text. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go up to the type menu, and I want to come down and I want to choose create outlines. Watch very carefully when I let go of create outlines. Watch what happens to the text. The line underneath it goes away, and each text object becomes an individual graphic shape, compound path or otherwise. So now I'm going to deselect this and click it again, and you can see now that the text is grouped. The reason it's grouped is because when I select any one of these, it all selects. So I want to go to the object menu and I want to ungroup it. Now, the reason I want to ungroup this is because I need these three letters together, those three letters together, and those three letters together. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to marquee, select those three. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go Object Group. And now those three are grouped together. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to marquee those three, SEC, Object Group. And now those are grouped, and then finally RET, Object Group, and they're selected, or I'm sorry, grouped. All right, so I got three groups of text. I can now manipulate these pieces. The SEC is what I want to work on first. What I want to do is I want to take this circle and I want to bring the circle down over top of the SEC so I can show you what's going on with this. So there's my circle sitting over the SEC. Whoops, hit the wrong button, sorry. So there's my SEC sitting over top of, or the circle sitting over top of the SEC. That's ultimately what I'm going to have happen here. So before I do any more with this, I'm going to select the SEC. And what I need to do is I need to do something to make it look different. So there's two things I'm going to do. I'm going to start off by actually making it slightly bigger. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to hold the Shift key down and the Alt key down. The Shift key and Alt key will allow this text to be enlarged from the center point out. And I'm just going to slowly drag this thing a tiny bit of the way. Sometimes it doesn't want to grab that corner point. So I'm doing it again. There we go. And I went too far. I'm going to come back down. I just need it to be a little bit bigger, about like that. There we go. All right, so the SEC now is made a tiny bit bigger. That's step number one. Step number two, again, I'm going to select the SEC. I need to put that bulging distortion in. Easy way to do that is to go up to the Object menu and come down to Envelope Distort and choose Make with Warp. and I get the envelope distort dialog box. The preview is going, and you can see what it looks like when I have it set on an arch style. I don't want the arch style. What I'm looking for is the bulge style. That's the one right there. Each one of these things has its own unique look, and you can come in and play with all of these and see what they do. But I'm looking for the bulge style, and I got the bulge style right there. And it looks really good this way. It's probably just a little bit bigger than I want it to be. So I have different options here. Of course, I can go horizontal and vertical, which I'm going to stay with the horizontal because I don't want the vertical. And I'm going to not distort it, which you can do. And again, come in and play with these and see what they do and get used to them because they're valuable. But I'm going to play with the bend. I'm going to start bringing the bend down, and I'll bring it down to about, let's bring it down to about 30 and see what 30 looks like. I think I probably want to go a little bit more with it. Let's go to 35, and I probably will go a little bit more, 39. That's probably pretty good. I'm going to make it a little bit more bulgy than what you see there. So I'm going to hit OK, and now I have my bulge. So what I want to do next is I want to make sure that this is in the front. Object, arrange, bring to front. It should be. And I'm going to copy this. Edit, copy. Okay? So now I've copied this circle. And I have this SEC beneath that circle right there. So what I want to do is I want to create the illusion that this SEC is peeking through this window or this opening of this circle, which is going to be the lens of my magnifying glass. So I need to select both of these objects. To make that look like it is peeking through this window, I'm going to create what's called a clipping mask. What a clipping mask does essentially is it will take any object or any object that you have selected, and whatever object is beneath that object, it will clip it in such a way that you can see everything inside of the object being used as a clipping mask, in this case the circle. And the stuff that's on the outside will be hidden, a clipping mask. So they're both selected. The circle is on top. I'm going to go to the object menu. I'm going to go clipping mask, make. And I deselect, and there is my SEC. So I'm going to go object, paste. Where are we at here? I'm sorry, edit, paste. Paste in place. There we go. Paste in place. So now you can see where we're heading with this. You've got something that looks pretty convincing. So what I'm going to do now, at this point, technically, this is really done. There's very little technically that I need to do with this. The technical part of it's done. Now it's really just a matter of doing some things to make it look like it's a real magnifying glass. So again, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to select this guy, and I'm going to copy it. You know what? Actually, I could probably just paste another one in front of it. Object, let's see, edit, paste in place. There we go, paste in place. Now grab that one. Here we go. That's what I want to do. Click on this, hold down the Shift key and the Option key and bring it in. And again, sometimes these corners don't want to get caught. So I'm bringing it about like that. There we go. That's what I want. So now what I'm going to do with this guy is I'm going to select that, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go with my stroke. I'm going to give this about a stroke of 6, right about like that. Okay, so I have one shape in the background that has a stroke of 6 on it, and I have another stroke in here, or another object in here, and I probably overdid the size of this thing, so I'm going to bring it back out. I'm going to click on this again, hold the Shift and the Alt key, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And again, it's sometimes difficult to get that corner. So I click it and bring it right back up to about here. That's good right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that outer circle, and I'm going to give it a stroke of white. First of all, let's give it a stroke of white. Drag this up here and give it a stroke of white. So now it has a stroke of white. You can see it looking very much like that. And the other thing I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to give it a gradient fill. All right. So I'm going to click on that gradient. And what I'm going to do is, instead of having it linear, I'm going to make it radial. So now I get a radial gradient fill. But the thing I want to do with this is I want to stretch it out some, because I want it to be a very soft gradient fill. I don't want it to be or better yet, let me bring this back a little bit because I want it to get kind of dark at the edges. You know what? That's closer. Hold on. Give me a second. Bring this in. Right about there. Right about there. That's not too bad. Maybe a little bit more even. I like it to be kind of dark around the edge. Yeah. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this over like about like that. There we go. Now, and let me drag that stop over slightly too, if I can. So I'm just basically doing some fine tuning of my gradient here. It's very simple stuff to do. So there I have my lens. Now, what is happening is the lens is opaque. So I need to make it transparent. So I'm going to go to the window menu. I'm going to come down to the transparency panel. And I'm going to use blend modes with this. Blend mode I want is multiply. Oh, the object has to be selected, obviously. And transparency, let's make it now multiply. There. Okay? So now I have my SEO. It's basically done. One thing that needs to be done is I need to take that SEC and I need to make it just slightly lighter. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go Object, Hide. Where are we at? Right there. Selection. Okay, and now I'm going to click on this guy right here and Object Lock. I'll lock it. Okay, and now click on this if I can get it. Why am I not getting this? Edit. Undo lock. Maybe I had it. Let me see. There we go. I guess that's it. Coming to transparency, I'm going to bring this down to like 70. Yeah, I got it. Let's make it 75. Make it 70. Let's see how that looks. Again, you got to play with this a little bit to get it to look good. That looks pretty good. All right, so now I'm going to go Object, Show All. And there you go. I've got all of this done. This is all finished. The only thing I need to do on this is to put that handle. To create that handle, what I do basically is I just come over here and I grab a rounded rectangle and I drag a rounded rectangle out to about the size that I want, okay? And that would be something like this maybe. That's probably pretty good. And the next thing I would do with this is I would take my gradient and I would change the angle of the gradient on it. And I'd probably try 90. Let's see what 90 does. Didn't do much of anything. Let's go. You know what? Easier way to do this. Let me see here. Grab the gradient tool. There we go. And let's turn that thing so it's like this. It's not doing it. What's the matter with you? Ugh. Oh, you know why? Radial gradient, dummy. There we go. I need a linear gradient. Sorry. Now, there we go. All right, so now let's go 90. There we go. That's what I want. So now I'm going to take this thing. I want to make it look sort of like that. I'm going to take this guy and bring this guy over here. And I'm going to click to place another point on my gradient bar. This time it's going to be black again. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this guy out a bit. There we go. And let's drag this guy over a little bit, up a little bit more, right about like that. Let's bring this guy out a bit so it's a little bit darker. That's looking better. And maybe bring this over somewhat. There we go. And move this over. So really, again, what you're doing is you're just playing around with this thing. And actually, I want one side to be bigger than the other. I want a shadow side and I want a highlight side. So that's more like it. Let me move this over a little bit. That's good. And let me move this guy back. And we're there. That's pretty good. Okay. Final thing is maybe I would take this thing and make it a little bit smaller. It's probably just a little too long. Mount like that's good. And then I'm going to take my rotate tool. I'm going to just rotate that guy around like that. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it up to here. Kind of get it into that piece right there. Let's move it up some more. It's probably too long. You move it up to about there. And let me rotate it some more because, again, you want it to be somewhat of a tight composition. So you're going to make it more like that. That's good. Bring it up like that. And then Object, Arrange, send to back. So now it's been sent to the back. It's behind everything. Only problem that I see with this is that I'm seeing a little bit of that peeking out. So how do I fix that? I'm going to select this, Object, Hide, and Selection. And let's go Edit, Paste. There's my circle. I've got my circle. I'm going to paste my circle in, bring my circle down to here, and I'm going to go Object, Show All. There. And I'm going to take that circle and I'm going to move that, oops, Control Z. I forgot to select the other object. Select that circle, and I'm going to move that circle into position right about like that and right about like that. And going to go Object, or better yet, Edit Cut. Select this, Edit Paste in front, there. And I'm going to make that white with no stroke. There you go. And now that's it. It's done. There is your top secret. That's basically how you do it. Oh, and by the way, if you really wanted to, I think I accidentally lost my my line. I don't know why I'm not. Oh, I know why. Because it's a blend mode. So what's happening here is I do have a white line on this, but because the thing is using a blend mode of multiply, the white just disappears. So I'm going to go Edit Paste in place, and I'm going to put another circle there. And this circle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of that circle back to white, which will then bring that white line back in. There we go. Okay? So there you go. Now you have your 3D looking magnifying glass. And again, I can take this thing and I can adjust it ever so slightly, making it a little tiny bit smaller. Again, these are some fine-tuning things that you're going to do with this. And again, I always have problems with this. There we go. You're going to fine-tune this a little bit. There you go. There. And it looks pretty much like the one up there. So that's how I do this. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you find it helpful. Thank you for coming.